TopLobsta Productions.
In the shadows of the ancient ones, they never went away. They're still here today.
Nephilim Death Squad. When the last trumpet sounds and the heavens crack, blah, 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 blah. Nephilim Death Squad. Nephilim Death Squad. Death Squad. Death Squad. Death Squad.
Nope. Hold on a second. Unbelievable. I knew that was going to happen. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Nephilim Death Squad. I'm just fucking down to the wire, dude. I am David Lee Corbo, a.k.a. The Raven. That is TopLobsta, the father of pressing buttons and pulling wires up until the show starts.
We're
Guys,
doing it.
We are doing it. We made it. Before we get into today's show, a little reminder, if you want to support us, patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad is where you can do it. There you'll find a bunch of backlog content, ad-free listening experiences, unedited versions. You also get first dibs on tickets to Bohemian Grove whenever that happens, and discount codes off of merchandise from TopLobsta.com, which I think we're both wearing shirts that are no longer on TopLobsta.com, right?
Oh, really?
Is the fall still on there?
Oh, I don't know. It
Well,
might be.
Is and
Yeah.
R.I.p.
Go find
to
it.
Dangerous Retards. Anyway, guys,
Another day.
another
Amazing guest. We have welcoming back to the show.
How long has it been since we talked to Giovanni Cirucci? It's been a minute. Well,
It's been
either
a long
way,
time.
it's good to have you back, brother. Before we get into this discussion, let's tell everybody where people can find your work and what it is that you do.
All right. Well, first, I got to tell you, I have been thoroughly humbled by everything. To see you guys in the studio and the intro, even though I know you, you know me, I'm like, oh my goodness, these guys are friggin' amazing. Look at this stuff. Are you kidding me?
Well,
Oh my
Johnny,
goodness.
you start to get a little bit of Jesuit money, and
That's
and
it.
things-
We're rolling.
That-
Has a
No,
real
no.
way of strapping a rocket to a thing. Yeah.
There's enough legitimacy. You guys have your validity card is safe with me. Let's see. So, real quick, anybody as I say on my show, visiting sports fans, if anybody's who the F is this guy? So, lifetime in the military, born and raised Italian Roman Catholic, conservatard, which I say lovingly with anger, is what I call conservatard, is somebody with right-minded views and a closed mind, and not awake to the machine, and they should know better, because if you're right-minded values, you're a little bit more open, as opposed to the left, where it just being left-minded values. I don't even use these conventions, by the way, is the best we can have. They invented the convention, blue versus red. I tell people all the time, you know that on a military tactical map, red is the one you want to kill. Okay, do you understand that? For many Republicans, again, yeah, red state, you're the one they want to kill. Okay, just so you understand that. And that was my background. And I had a great buddy of mine in college bring me to a non-denominational church, Calvary Chapel. We were talking before the show, and I had just a soul-saving moment there. Never did an altar call. I just felt like I was home, and just soul-saving moments with the preaching of Pastor Skip Heitzig in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it totally changed my life. And that was, oh my goodness, like 30 years ago, 1994, January 16th, 1994, and totally changed my life. And then that was with a lifetime in the military of about similar 24 years or so. Miserable time in the military, an absolute abject failure in the military. Everything I wanted to do, I mean, any Hollywood thing, jets and tanks and special forces, wanted it all, had a taste of some of it and failed at all of it, was absolutely miserable the entire time. And God has a sense of humor. He did it to me to make me miserable, to make me an outsider. And I left the military miserable, having never really accomplish anything that I wanted to do. And it made me question things, and it made me be a pain in the ass. And it really set me up for, I never intended to get out of the military. Trust me, I tried a bunch of jobs, and it just seems like I didn't click with anything. Insane. And I have a great resume. I had a great resume, college educated, Marine Corps enlisted, Army officer, tour in Iraq. I had a job that should have just been a shoo-in, and for some reason, I never clicked with anything. And I was doing investigative journalism through college. I had played with journalism. I wrote for the university newspaper, and so it trained me. It taught me. And it was at this time that I learned that, look, everybody has opinions. Opinions are like hidey holes, as they say, buttholes. Everybody's got one. You know, it's don't just have an opinion, have a source, have a citation. I learned that in college because, man, all education is left wing, hardcore left wing, and me coming in as even a conservatard, I'm constantly having to defend myself, and it taught me, don't just have an opinion, have a source that the person you're talking to respects. So I learned that early on, and I was playing around with blogging at that time, and it kind of set me up for this interim hobby of investigative journalism. We all have this. Why you guys do what you do. It's why your audience is here. Is we have this sense that somehow we're being lied to.
Yeah, go figure.
The people we trust don't really like us. The government, the media, doctors, science, historians, they're all full of poop. They all have an angle. Even when they put on a white lab coat and they put a stethoscope around their neck, and then they pick up a tablet or a clipboard, they're still lying to us somehow. So I have these questions and digging and having a background of being a conservatard Catholic turned born again Christian. Don't trust the media. Always hard left. Now, back in the 90s, you had the alternative media of Jewish Mark Levin and Rush Limbaugh, who was secretly homosexual, Irish Catholic O'Reilly, Irish Catholic Hannity, who's still out there and claims he's not Catholic anymore. And these are all these alternatives, and Jewish Michael Weiner, aka Michael Savage, and these are the alternatives. But it was the advent of the Obama administration where these mainstream alternatives weren't asking any questions about Barack Obama. And Barack Obama was a nobody. He popped up out of nowhere and skyrocketed through American Senate into the Father Andrew White House. And so with conservatard media not asking obvious questions, of course, back in the day, it was a birth certificate and all that stuff, which turns out that I don't even know if it's a legitimate issue. It was absolutely a smokescreen of distraction. Even if it was real or not, it was still a smokescreen of distraction. And it forced me to go look into other sources. And I spent, I left the Rush Limbaugh community and I went to Alex Jones for about a minute and a half. And it became very clear quickly that Alex was trying to discredit everything he was talking about with a lot of overacting and haminess. And there's even a clip out there floating around of a protest, a gun control protest that Alex came in and took over, and it was awful. I mean, he was talking over the people. They created and he did a separate thing. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Are you trying to ruin what we're doing here? So I spent about a minute and a half there, and then started to look elsewhere. And at this time, everything was Illuminati, and it still is a little bit Illuminati this, Illuminati that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm a military guy. If you want me to go to war with the Illuminati, what am I supposed to do? What is the Illuminati? You kidding me?
Right.
It's very nefarious. It's very nebulous. And it occurred to me, is that on purpose? Are you giving me a bad guy that is a ghost? You know, I'm swinging around and I'm not hitting anything. It's like the globalists, the deep state, the Illuminati. I go get them. Go get them. I'm on it. Like, who? What am I doing again? And so I'm doing my own research in my spare time. And finally, I came up with a name, Weishaupt. All right. Everybody's Illuminati. And now I got a name, Weishaupt. And I look, and who was one of the first ones? I want to say, what were some of the sources? I want to say it was the Israeli journalist, Barry Shamish. Was it Weishaupt? Was Barry Shamish? Barry Shamish was a fantastic source on getting in touch with the culpability of the Vatican. Now, being born and raised, even as a Catholic, I knew that there was something shady about Rome. I knew there was things I needed, but I never knew any details. I just knew there was things that I needed to know and didn't know. And so as it's sort of surfacing all this hidden history, I'm like, this is clicking for me. Johann Adam Weishaupt, what a surprise. Turns out that his family were originally Jewish and converted to Catholicism, converted hard. How hard? They donated little Johann Adam. Talk about conversion. Donated little Johann Adam to the Jesuits. He started his Jesuit education at like 7 years old, and one of the co-founders of the Jesuits. Okay, quick, back out. Who are the Jesuits? Jesuits are basically the special forces of the Catholic Church. They arose in response to the Reformation of 1517, and their job became the Counter-Reformation to beat back the forces of Protestantism, which is actually just a resurrection of Christianity, of freeing up. And that sounds harsh, but it's true. The Catholic Church is a syncretistic mix of paganism, Judaism, Luciferianism with the wrappings of Christianity. And all of the central doctrines, the majority of the central doctrines have nothing to do with the Bible. In fact, the Bible disproves it, from veneration of Mary, veneration of saints, prayer to the dead, purgatory, all this stuff. The Bible disproves that. The idea that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was born without sin, was assumed directly into heaven, just like Jesus, is co-mediatrix and co-redemptrix, all completely destroyed by just reading the Bible for yourself, which is why the Catholic Church kept the Bible under wraps for 1,000 years. That was the Dark Ages. And if you were caught with a Bible, you were burned alive. You were tortured to death. John Fox's Book of Martyrs that no one's ever heard of. Stories, horrible stories of a little girl reciting the Lord's Prayer to a Catholic bishop. And he goes, "Where did you get that, little girl?" "Oh, my mommy and daddy shared it with me." And the entire family burned alive. The entire family burned alive. So this is the hidden history. And so
Wait, just from sharing, just from like repeating it, or actually she had a copy?
No, just saying it, just saying out loud.
Wow.
How did you know that? Where did you hear that? That's forbidden. That's verboten. And that's the dark history. That's what the Dark Ages were. 1,000 years. And then the movable type printing press of Johannes Gutenberg, brilliantly presaged, I would say by divine appointment, presaged Martin Luther breaking from the Catholic Church. There were reformers prior to that didn't have the power of the Bible and the common tongue through the movable type printing press, because it was forbidden by the Catholic Church. And then you had these black market printing presses all over the world, and suddenly Bibles were being printed faster than the Catholic Church could burn them, literally burn them. Prior to this, John Wycliffe was one of the great evangelists, and he had born again Christians that they slandered as lollards. They would go around with carefully hand copied Bibles, preaching to the British countryside, to the common British person, and when they were captured by Catholic authorities, they would tie the Bibles around their necks and burn them alive. And it was just the horror of being burned alive, compounded with generations of work of hand copied Bibles. Well, the Gutenberg press completely changed that, and suddenly they needed a new tactic, which was to create a false reality. And they did, thoroughly. And the Catholic Church created a thoroughly false reality. You look at something like our current cosmology. Where did our current cosmology come from, of spinning globes and space travel and aliens? It came from the Catholic Church, and then they spun it, as them actually defending the Bible, and then they were forced by science, Thomas Dolby's science. They were forced by science to give up on the Bible. It was their idea in the first place. Did you know that Galileo Galilei was teaching by invitation at the seminal Jesuit, the Collegio di Roma, the seminal Jesuit university, the very first one that Loyola created? He was there by invitation. And then suddenly the Jesuits, led by Roberto Bellarmino, "Hey, you can't do that. Come here. We're going to talk to you." And he went on trial. Well, they were really mad at Galileo Galilei. By the way, Galileo Galilei, very hyper devout Roman Catholic. He had a daughter who was a nun, and they were buried together. Ew, ew. So I wonder how if they had any blackmailable information on him. It kind of reminds me of Donald Trump and his mistress.
It's interesting because the Catholic
wait.
Church still has their obsession
Before we
with
go
space.
on, David.
Go ahead.
Guys, you can find Johnny at his website.
Oh yeah. That's why I forgot this.
People should know. Yeah, go to
yeah.
his website.
Where can you find
His books here? He's got a Rumble channel.
Yes.
Resistance Rising. Going to be hard to find.
Find the right Resistance Rising because somebody jacked
Buy
the
his
name
books
from
on
Johnny.
Amazon. David, go ahead. I'm sorry,
Well,
Johnny.
Okay, so
okay.
what I wanted to say is that it's interesting that the Catholic Church still has this obsession with space, or the Vatican still has this obsession with space. They have their infrared telescope named Lucifer that they're using to peer into the abyss, and sort of it's strange. They also have their hands involved to some degree with alien disclosure, and it just becomes this whole big web, because one of the things we've been talking about on this show is how there seems to be this entity that's calling itself the Lady, that's presenting itself as Mother Mary, and as some sort of a celestial being. And this is happening with characters like Chris and Ryan Bledsoe. And it's fascinating because, you talked about the Mary veneration, that I know they've kind of backtracked it. I've gotten some people send me some articles that said there was a time when they were prompting the idea about Mary being co-redeemer. Since then, that's been shot down. But it almost doesn't matter whether or not you pass a sort of a document declaring her the official co-redeemer, when if you look at the behavior of Catholics and the way that they venerate Mother Mary, it's like, what's the difference between officially declaring it and the way that they're currently behaving? I want to backtrack though to purgatory. Purgatory is something that I don't know a lot about, and I know it's not necessarily, I mean, who knows what we're going to get into today, but what does the Catholic Church, how do they sort of steelman purgatory? What are they leaning on to declare that purgatory is a real thing?
Oh my goodness. It is a weapon of manipulation. And there are, one of the reasons why the Deuterocanonical 7 books of the Bible, I don't have them memorized, but Tobit and Esdras and all that, they may pull some of the legitimacy of purgatory from a couple of them. I have the details I pulled up out of my docs, but really, it is a powerful weapon of manipulation. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure purgatory was central to the theater, the manipulation of Johann Tetzel, the Dominican, and prior to the Jesuits, the Dominicans were the special forces, the attack dogs of the Catholic Church. And Johann Tetzel was making his rounds, and it was where Luther had overseen and overheard his spiel, something to the effect of, when the coin in the collection box clings, the soul from purgatory springs, something to that effect.
Oh, wow.
And they would, oh yeah, oh my goodness. And for what? So that, I think it was, let's see, was it Leo number 10, Giovanni de Medici, decided that he needed more money. He needed orgy money. Literally, he needed orgy money. And so they were sending around Tetzel to collect massive amounts of money from people that couldn't afford it, solely based on their ignorance. And that was the basis of Luther's 95 Theses. They were all on indulgences. And some of the points were, listen, you're asking for whatever it was, 3 months worth of pay. Oh, give us 3 months worth of pay, and the Holy Father will pray that beautiful little girl that died in childbirth, that is in purgatory right now, that you and your wife cry over every night. If you give us 3 weeks worth of pay, the new orgy pope will pray your daughter's soul out of purgatory.
Yikes.
Literally that vicious, and they preyed upon the ignorance of the average Catholic at that time. And it is one of the things that motivated Martin Luther. So no, it had no basis. It had no basis in any biblical doctrine, and had a lot of basis in paganism. And so it was strictly by the sake of manipulation. It's one of the reasons why the advent. Oh, and by the way, since the advent of the printing press, there's been a massive insurgency of watering down scripture, which text to use. There's a Vatican text. There's a Textus Synecticus from a guy that was almost certainly a fraud, Constantine von Tischendorf. All kinds of background on this. Oh, he found it in a, what did he say? Like a convent in Egypt, and it was in a waste paper basket, and he resurrected it. And there's all kinds of skullduggery as to things that. So this is why it's very frustrating for me. If you're reading scripture and you have this problem, okay, who really killed Goliath? Well, one verse says it was David, and another verse says it was somebody else. Well, why do we have these contradictions? So the Bible sucks. I can't trust the Bible. It depends on which Bible you're reading, because there are texts that have been put out on purpose to do just that, to muddy the waters. It absolutely matters. First, let's say the Masoretic text versus the Septuagint. Masoretic is Jewish, and even the King James editors used the Masoretic text because, they needed a Jewish text. Meanwhile, the Greek Septuagint predates the Masoretic text by 1,000 years.
And let me bolster that for you real quick, because Purim just passed, and I was looking into that holiday, which looks a lot like pagan Halloween, or I mean a non-pagan Jewish Halloween, whatever. And then you start to read the Book of Esther, and then you notice that God is not mentioned one time in the Book of Esther in my King James version, which is the most accurate translation. But he is mentioned multiple times in the Septuagint. So we're going by the Masoretic text in our King James version, and that has been edited out. I think I don't know why the Jews did it. Maybe to obfuscate what they were writing about at the time, like when they were in the empire, or maybe just because I don't know.
So you're saying that the Book of Esther is kind of infamous for being the only one that doesn't mention God, but then that's not completely the case. Well. So okay,
but the Song of Solomon points at God very directly.
But then you're saying that there is versions where they do mention God in the Book of Esther.
Yeah, the Septuagint in the Book of Esther, the Septuagint translation, which is the original translation, mentions God a bunch of times.
Does it change the context?
Takes out whole sentences.
Takes out whole sentences, but does it change the entire, like, what you get from that book?
The Jews want to say that they say, oh, God's not mentioned here because it's like how beautiful is it that it's the hidden hand of God's work behind all the things that went on here. And I don't know, it's just very strange to me.
It is very strange.
I don't know why you do that at all.
The background, I want to say that Esther was in a foreign king's harem. Is that right? Yeah. And that may be one of the reasons why that God was hidden. But I think you're nailing it, Top. It's far more. Listen, the fact that the Masoretic text was around for 1,000 years after the advent of Jesus of Nazareth, you would stop and think, no, wait a minute. Would the editors behind the Masoretic text might want to de-emphasize anything that has to do with this Jesus of Nazareth guy fulfilling the scriptures? Yeah. I don't know if this is a Masoretic failure. I know that it is the Reformed translation failure. To an example, one of my favorite examples is Isaiah 7:14 of the sign given by Yahweh to, oh my goodness, it wasn't Ahab. Was it Ahab? It was a rebellious Israelite king that was like, Yahweh was like prodding him. Do you want a sign? Do you want a miraculous sign? I'll give you a sign. And the Reformed, I want to say the Reformed or revised. It was revised. The revised translation says, a girl's going to have a child. What? Meanwhile, Septuagint and other more reliable translations, no, a virgin will have a child. What kind of sign is a girl going to have a child? Are you kidding me? That's not a miraculous sign.
Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel.
Huge difference.
Yeah, it's very specific.
And these are some of the difference that if you dig. So anyway, there's just a quick apologetics of listen, if there's issues that you're finding, there's been an insurgency going on for literally millennia,
Right.
centuries upon centuries. There's been an insurgency.
It even
And-
goes to like some of the arguments that I know that there are some little seasoners in the chat still, and I appreciate you. I love you guys. But the Jesuit roots even go to that. Are you aware of that theory, the little season theory?
I don't know details. I know that I'm at first blush, I'm suspicious of it. I'm suspicious. It's comes across to me as similar to futurism, which is a total Jesuit farce.
That's what I'm going to get at. Yeah. So this guy here, Luis de Alcazar, is he's the guy that promoted preterism, and that's basically that's the stilts.
He's the Jesuit. He's the Jesuit. Luis de Alcazar. He's the Jesuit that said, you don't got to worry about prophecy. You don't got to worry about eschatology. It's already done. It's already, now, why would he do that? The same reason why Bellarmino would help promote futurism, preterism, and futurism. Even Wikipedia, as biased and prejudiced Wikipedia is, still accurately depicts preterism and futurism as being created by Jesuits. Why would Jesuits do this? Because prior to preterism and futurism, there was an accurate historicist view of prophecy and eschatology intimately linked between John and Revelation, that the Roman Catholic Church was the great whore of Babylon, drunk on the blood of the saints. Revelation, how do you read Revelation 17 and not have the Roman Catholic Church just punch you in the face?
Right.
Drunk on the blood of the saints, clothed in scarlet and purple like the cardinals and bishops. Oh my goodness.
So
And
in other
all
words,
the-
for you to have a little season, that's what we're in right now, you'd have to have a false Roman Catholic Church to obfuscate where in the timeline. Because when I read it that way, drunk in the blood of the saints, like seems pretty obvious who we're talking about here. And for us to be in the little season, then we have an entire Vatican that has been created in all of its grandeur just to deceive us about where it just seems a lot more likely to me.
Absolutely.
That
Meanwhile,
we're just dealing with that.
these things have been going on for centuries. It's not all of a sudden, hey, little season and little Caesar, and then maybe somewhere down the road, we'll see the Antichrist. No. The little horn of Daniel has always been the papacy. Every pope that speaks ex cathedra, 2 Thessalonians 2, of the man of, let's see here, what's the exact language?
Perdition, right?
Yeah. There's only 2 times that's mentioned in Scripture. Once in relation to Judas Iscariot, and the other in relation to this man of mystery. Who is it? It's someone that pretends to love Jesus and instead betrays him. That's Catholicism. That's the papacy. And
Have you spoken with Ed Mabry before?
not personally, happy to do it. I know that he helps you guys with Bible studies. So I'd love to
that would be a great conversation.
He presented a theory, because we're always talking about the Jews, but he presented a theory that was actually very interesting, and I think Heidi Love kind of reinforced that the last time we spoke with her, when she was talking about the Red Shield, the Rothschilds, and
Being a shield for
like a shield for what's behind it, or like she was comparing the Jews today to like a modern placeholder in a way. And then Ed Mabry extrapolated on it a little bit further weeks ago.
That's right.
About like these guys that are in Israel right now. Maybe some of them are the actual Jews. Maybe some of them are the remnant. Some of them are definitely not. There's a big mix up, but what's happening there is they're being painted as the enemy. And the entire world is seeing it on purpose. It's actually being promoted to see this. And
they're behaving in a way that's, glaringly obvious as well.
Yeah, Twitter is paying people money to tweet against them. So
Right.
this is very obvious what's happening, but like, who are they holding the place for? And Ed said, hey, maybe the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church would love to reclaim that, or to claim the Holy Land. And in a sense, like on its facade, the Catholic Church has some sort of a right to it. This is where Jesus was born. This is where he died. This is a Christian Holy Land.
If they want,
claiming to be
a
Christian.
perceivable right to it.
Right.
Yeah.
The world might just go ahead and give that over to them. But Ed was describing a Jesuit plot in a way.
Right.
We just weren't like, we're not
Just not using that language exactly.
Jesuit experts. We're Jew
Yeah.
experts.
Well, I would say
We're
that's
experts.
But yeah, I think there's probably something to that. And yeah, you're right. Heidi had brought that up to our attention, especially that idea of like the Rothschilds being this representation of the Jews, and what it means is red shield, and just that idea, like a simple question, right? Like, what does a shield do? Well, it protects who? So if the shield is what we're perceiving, who's holding the shield? And if you do demonize these people and remove them from let's say Israel, the nation's turn or something like that, then who swoops in to fill that void? That's a fascinating question.
All of that is spot on. All of it's spot on. It's all so intuitive. Think about it like this. If you had all the money and resources in the world, what's the first thing you would do? You'd make yourself disappear. Disappear. And what's the second thing you would do? You would cover your tracks. You would take puppets and patsies and jam them into the spotlight, so that people looking for you would be distracted. Anything from Jeffrey Epstein through to the current war against Iran.
Yeah. The Epstein thing is really been doing that, right? I mean, you have the guy come out and he makes the terminology goy part of the conversation to a degree that it previously hasn't been. And it's like everything I'm seeing.
You even get the Illuminati in the files.
Yeah.
So that's being pushed out there, and we're painting that picture.
It's like, we've dealt with the whispers of these things for a long time. And then we've kind of had conspiracy theorists like us get involved in this and have these conversations. And now we're in this great season of vindication. But I suspect the vindication is it's a temptation.
Short-lived.
Well, it's not even just short-lived. It's a temptation, right? Because it is easy. It almost stifles your critical thinking to finally rest upon your laurels and say, look, I was right. And then it's, so if they do come out and they identify the Jews as the problem, and they show you all these, perceived 13 families when there's really supposedly another layer of 13 families behind them, we'll sit back and we'll wait for our round of applause. But in reality, it's a bone to chew on while something else is happening that we're going to miss.
I highly recommend, in relation to Rothschild, Red Shield, who carried the Red Shield in the battle? The Roman military did. Highly recommend Frederick Tupper Saucy, after my books, of course, Frederick Tupper Saucy III and his Rulers of Evil, an absolute must read. He thoroughly breaks down how the Rothschilds, another great source, Emmanuel Josephson, breaks down how for generations who came up with usury. Who came up with usury? Jews? Jewish bankers? No, the Knights of the Catholic Church came up with it, particularly
I didn't know that.
The Templars. The Templars came up with usury. What they would do is, when the Catholic Church would send well-meaning Catholics on their pilgrimage to the Holy Land, something that is not remotely Christian, they would usually get robbed. They would frequently, not usually, but they would frequently get robbed. And so they needed someone to protect their riches for them. And they would go to the Templars, and they would give the Templars their valuables to hang on to for them. And they would give them a receipt with a cipher that was only legible to another Templar. And they would be done with their pilgrimage, again, not in any way Christian. And the Templar, new Templar armory, would read the receipt and say, okay, you gave us $1 million of your wealth. Well, we're going to take 10% of that. And they created usury by percentage, and it made them more wealthy than nations. The Templars made them more wealthy than nations. They created, the very word bank comes from the Italiano banco, which is of the counter that the Medici and the Farnese did their banking over. Everyone's heard of Rothschild. No one's heard of Medici, Aldo, Bandini, Orsini, Colonna. Oh my goodness. Borgia, Spanish. All these others were, and all of these black nobility families found the pinnacle of their power when they were bishops, cardinals, and popes. And that is absolutely central. And oh my goodness, David Lee, you nailed it. When you get frothed up over Jews, you are tempted to stop examining critically. You
Right.
are tempted to be frothed up on emotion, and that is exactly what they want. Like, no one is ever, think about this, no one's Jeffrey Epstein, mainstream media. When would you ever have thought, whatever, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that mainstream media would regularly bring up child trafficking? Okay.
Yeah.
Never before. And meanwhile, the Roman Catholic Church has a cottage industry on raping children. No offense, Catholics. I'm sorry, it's true. With the collusion of governments, cops, and prosecutors in secular governments everywhere.
That's a great thing to highlight, right? They do it the best because it's not even, Epstein has this island and this blackmail operation and he's tied into intelligence agencies, but the Vatican has a city, right? I mean, like they have a
do it
city.
right in front of you.
They do it right in front of you.
Cute. We
They're
got
tied in. Yeah,
cities.
exactly. Oh, nice island. Nice island. We have a city. Right, yeah.
Right. We have the world. And here's the pedophile shuffle that I've examined, particularly in my third book, but regularly in my fourth book, but Eaters of Children, my third book, the pedophile shuffle. You'll have a rank and file priest, because once you become a bishop or cardinal or pope, you don't touch little boys anymore. Rank and file priests are the only ones that ever get examined. For generations, for decades, they have their fill of raping kids, particularly little boys, pederism. And after decades, maybe even they die off and they're gone, or they're in their 80s, they're drooling on themselves. Now they're safe. Now they're going to kick them to you. Now we're going to do our job. Now we're going to look into it, and you'll have a handful of complaints, and most of them have a statute of limitations, and they're gone. And that's it. I mean, there was, I want to say Argentina and Italy, and maybe Spain as well, where, okay, first of all, who owns, it's the Jews. It's the Jews. Who runs infrastructure? Is there such a thing as a Jewish hospital? For every one Jewish hospital, there are thousands of Catholic hospitals. Thousands. For every, I don't even know what a Jewish school is. Never heard of a Jewish school. There are thousands of Catholic schools and hundreds of Jesuit schools. Okay. And oh, by the way, these key people who are Jewish in leadership positions in the spotlight are Jesuit trained. Who do you want to examine? Do you want to examine the person who appears to be Jewish in the spotlight, or do you want to examine who is behind the scenes, who trained them in their claim to fame? The current, I just left Pennsylvania not too long ago, and the current governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, a lawyer who was the attorney general there, who had an examination. This is very common for what they will do. The Catholic Church will rape kids for generations, and then we'll have a committee. Then we'll do a report.
Yeah.
Then we'll have a seance. Then we'll do a paper on it. Right? Who gets arrested? Well, nobody's getting arrested, but we're showing you how much we care.
There's a big kind of to do about it. There's a big.
Did you see in the Jeffrey Epstein emails? The one email that we did get about 9/11, they were asking Ghislaine Maxwell if she wants to sit on the 9/11 discovery committee.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, absolutely can. I did it."
Yeah. By the
incredible.
way, this is 2006. This is from The Guardian. I don't have it pulled up. I'm just going to read it real quick. But this is one of the more famous instances of exactly what Johnny's talking about here. So back in 2006, pedophile priest was given a post at a school for the deaf. The Roman Catholic Church covers up the criminal past of a pedophile priest and gave him a job in a school for deaf children, where he went on to sexually assault vulnerable young boys for years. And so, they go into the whole thing, and it's there's countless children. So instead of once they identify it, they go, oh, okay, let's just relocate them. And then what you do is you relocate them to a place where the children are even more vulnerable, because he's so good at it that it's like you gave him a promotion.
Can I ask you, is there, in your studies, have you found why they're doing this to young boys?
Yes.
Because we understand the blackmail part of it, but is there more? Are they gaining something? Because it's kind of gross.
Power. It is what I call in Eaters of Children the devil's simulation. It is the basis of power. In order to climb the ladder, you have to quench your divine spark, and the divine spark is love, compassion, empathy. The more you willfully destroy that part of your humanity, the more useful you are to the machine, to the Jesuit, Illuminati, Luciferian machine. The less like Yahweh, Jesus Christ, you are, the less likely. One of the reasons why they always relocate their clerics, their priests. They're never from here. A lot of politicians, the same thing. So, oh my goodness, the chief of police in Austin is a female that they pulled out of Cincinnati, and she's Jesuit trained, and nobody else in Texas was qualified to be the chief of police in Austin. If I was an Austin cop, I would have quit as soon as they installed her. Just an example of how not from here. Joseph Stalin, that I have two sources, was a Jesuit priest, an ordained Jesuit priest. He wasn't Russian, he was Georgian. Okay. Examples of people that are not connected in an emotional, compassionate way to the people they victimized. And Joseph Stalin mass murdered as many as 40 million Russians because it was nothing to him, because he was a Jesuit priest, because he was a Freemason, and because he didn't have a direct connection with Russians. He was Georgian, and if anything, he had antagonism towards them. The very first head of the secret police, Felix Dzerzhinsky, was a Pole. The Poles hate Russians and vice versa. How could you possibly allow? And by the way, I think he was Polish Catholic, if I'm not mistaken, and a hero of Vladimir Putin, who was born on October 7th. October 7th is the commemoration of the Templar victory against the Ottomans at Lepanto. It just so happens to be when secular America launched its global war on terror, and it just so happened to be the same day that Hamas launched its rape fest against Israel. Now, wait a minute. Why would Hamas launch its rape fest to commemorate Our Lady of Victory in the battle and the Templar victory of the Ottomans? You'd think it'd be the other way around.
Right.
Unless, of course, it really wasn't them. It was an actual puppet master that is laughing at you the whole time because you're not picking up on any of this. Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile raped for decades with the help of the British government and the Catholic Church. Jimmy Savile was a hyper-devout daily mass Roman Catholic. To this day, he remains a knight of the British Empire and a knight of the Catholic Church. They refused to strike him from the rolls. He was dead for a full 11 years before nobody knew, but he was raping kids left and right and right and left. And then suddenly the cops and the journalists all decided to do their job at 11 years after the guy's dead.
Yeah.
That's the power of the Catholic Church. That's the pre-Epstein years and years. Oh, the Franklin cover-up. We could do a whole show on just the Franklin cover-up that should have been the Boys Town cover-up, except a Roman Catholic priest named John DeCamp, who was a CIA operative, not operative. He was the aide de camp of the station chief of Saigon, the CIA Saigon station chief, a guy by the name of Bill Colby, the warrior priest behind the Phoenix Project. Okay. And he was told by the head of the Inquisition at that time, a guy by the name of Joseph Ratzinger, Nazi youth Joseph Ratzinger, who was the prefect for the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith. Oh, that's the Inquisition, by the way. Inquisition never went away. Cardinal Ratzinger told almost priest John DeCamp, got to make this go away. It's very embarrassing for the church. Oh, yes, Your Eminence. Happy to do it. Happy to do it, Your Eminence. And he later had a papal audience with Benedict, whatever 16 Ratzinger became, John DeCamp. That's the guy that outed the Franklin, so-called Franklin cover. Franklin? What are you talking about, Franklin? Franklin, what is that? That's a bank. That's the pimp, Lawrence King. That was his bank. So what is the gist of the Franklin cover-up? Little boys, young boys, were being given to politicians for blackmail to sodomize and abuse. Mm-hmm. Okay, where were you getting them from? You were getting them from the bank? Were they in the drawers there? No. They were coming from the premier orphanage, really around the world, Boys Town in Omaha, Peyton Manning, Nebraska. Okay, they were taking the boys from Boys Town. Charlie Manson, Charlie Manson spent 2 weeks at Boys Town, and something was so horrible for him that he ran away. Gee, I wonder what they were doing. Oh, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was a judge that sent him there. Okay. Who is in bed? Who has the power of
Right.
schools, orphanages, and hospitals in bed with the secular government? Jews? The Jews have that power? No, the Catholic Church. And nobody's heard of any of this, but they've all heard of Epstein. They've all heard of Epstein. Right now, here, one more, but when we're talking about Iran, how intuitive is this? Me being a military guy, military whistleblower, because I despise what the military has always been. The military is the tool of the elite, particularly Rome, to mass murder the commoner and to make satanic levels of wealth in war profiteering, trafficking drugs, trafficking women and children. Absolutely intuitive, guys. Think about this. If Israel really rules the world and it was an Israeli agenda to strike Iran, wouldn't they want to lay low and have their puppet America do all the dirty work? Who would say, what intelligent Israeli Luciferian puppet master would say, let's join hands with America and strike Muslim Iran? How can anything positive come from that? And yet, from the other perspective, my perspective is that not intuitive, is that exactly what you want if you were hiding behind Israel as the patsy. Shove them up there. And Donald Trump, trained by the Jesuits at Fordham, sent all of his kids to Jesuit schools, Georgetown. And here he is. Oh, he is absolutely owned by Netanyahu. Epstein was Mossad. Absolutely. Yeah. The CIA and the FBI had no idea what Epstein did. They were hands off. They were clueless all this time. They didn't have any part in this whatsoever. It's strictly Mossad and Epstein. Meanwhile, we've got sources, by the way, Esoteric Nomad, my buddy Nathan, great guy. I don't know if he does interviews. He'd be a great guy to have. He's got a great little short coming out now that has been out since a couple of weeks on how Jeffrey Epstein himself, a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, says he shows signs of being trauma-based mind control.
Whoa.
Epstein does?
Epstein showed signs to one of his victims of being trauma-based mind control. Now, pause. Imagine that. You created a guy to be a patsy from the beginning.
Yeah.
From the beginning. A guy that is obsessed with sex with teenage girls, not 9-year-old little boys, because that won't sell. That doesn't sell. But teenage girls, that'll sell. That's kind of bad, but we kind of like it. That'll sell. Okay? You created him from the beginning. Well, let's pause for a second. I've got some factual evidence that supports that idea. Jeffrey Epstein, let's see here. Guy by the name of Donald Barr, who was a Jewish to Catholic convert, who worked for Bill Donovan and the OSS. Bill Donovan, was he Jewish? He was a hyper-devout Irish Catholic knight of the Catholic Church and a DuPont war profiteering Wall Street lawyer. And he is the guy that created the CIA. And Donald Barr went to work for him. Now, by the way, for anybody that says, let me get the facts here. Thomas, let's see here. Where's Inquisitor? Thomas Day. Oh,
it's interesting though, Giovanni, because as you're saying that about Jeffrey Epstein, it's like, yeah, why wouldn't he be? He's the ultimate, almost the ultimate vessel, and now the ultimate patsy and fall guy for what they've set in place. But the question is who set him in place? Who got him moving?
Let me tell you how intuitive all that is. And of course, my Microsoft just wants to stop working. You look at guys that are obsessed with sex in really perverse, deviant ways. Guys like Tiger Woods, guys like Martin Sheen, and they show evidence of being trauma-based mind control. They show evidence. Tiger Woods especially. Tiger Woods' daddy, having been in the military, shows all kinds of evidence of being under trauma-based mind control experimentation. And he is just an absolute obsessed with sex, perverse, deviant sex mess. Charlie Sheen, his daddy, what's his name? Ramon Estevez, hyper devout Spanish Roman Catholic, took his stage name from Martin J. Sheen. He's the perfect kind of guy that you would just imagine is doing a lot of weird stuff in the background. I can just imagine that Charlie Sheen also, before his porn actress meltdown, hey man, we're Vatican assassins. I think he told that to Alex Jones.
He said that? Charlie Sheen said that?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. Look it up. Charlie Sheen. Hey man, we're Vatican assassins. And I'm pretty sure he said it to Alex Jones. Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. So for anybody, real quick, as an aside, we're gonna come back to Epstein and Barr. Epstein-Barr syndrome, 1964 virus, right? Oh, how did they know? How did they know, Johnny? That's crazy, Johnny. How did they know? I don't know. AI. So.
Oh yeah, during a 2011 chaotic media tour, this is when he was doing his Tiger Blood thing. Mm-hmm. Charlie Sheen famously described himself as a high priest, Vatican assassin, warlock. Good God. Right. Along with other things, being on Tiger Blood, things of that nature. That's I never quote that one. That's fascinating. For anybody that says that that likes to throw out crypto Jew as a reason why, it's really the Jews. Jews even control the Catholic Church. That makes no sense whatsoever. Names, places, and dates. How do you prove to me it's the easiest thing to throw? Take mud, slap it against the wall, and see if it sticks or does it slide down like poop. Jesuit, what is he called? Jewish. Crypto Jew, right? I lost track of it. Crypto Jew. How do you prove that? You don't prove it. It's the easiest thing in the Jesus land of the world. I have a source that says it's not even a thing. What is a thing is crypto Jesuit. It is absolutely part of the Jesuit oath to pretend to be somebody else, to go in an insurgency. If you look at anybody that's claimed to be a crypto Jew, what did they do for Judaism? Nothing. And I know they claim Loyola was a crypto Jew. How do you prove that? It would make sense to have actual crypto. Like you would want to at least place people around to present as one thing, and then you find out, like, let's say you do a little bit of digging and you find out they changed their last name, or they have dual citizenship, or they kiss the wall. Like, that's a useful plot device, isn't it? So you would imagine, like, you would sprinkle some of those guys in there for sure. Like, what, for example, Donald Trump being Jesuit trained, but then he's at the wall, wearing a yarmulke doing the thing. I can understand that is for optics, because right now I've gotten really comfortable with that idea. If everything is so overtly about the Jews, it kind of is almost an homage to that Albert Pike line, when the people need a hero, we will give one to them. But it's an inversion of it, because they give us our villains too. And I don't think that the IQ of the general population has increased to such a degree that everybody is now able to notice the things that they couldn't notice before. I think the bar for entry has been reduced dramatically, and the theater of it all has become much more obvious, so that everybody can partake. They can see it. So I can see what you're saying. In the same way that I said earlier, they're using, Epstein uses the word goy like 200 and something. I don't know how many times. I'm just making up numbers at this point. But throughout the DOJ files that were released, he uses goy enough times that it's now part of a meme, and it's everybody's talking about, this is what they think of you. In fact, I think there's even an additional line in those emails that says the goy are, I'm paraphrasing, useful for nothing else other than serving Israel. So, when everything points to something so obvious, and like I said, I don't think that everybody got smarter. In fact, probably the opposite. I think we've probably gotten a bit dumber over these last few decades. When that becomes so obvious, then I'm very much willing to entertain the idea that I've been looking at the wrong thing. They're showing me something, to point. But I do think, like, the idea of having crypto Jews would be useful. You would deploy a couple of those out there so that we had some glowing examples to point to further bolster our Jew accusations.
It would be much more so. Who is an expert at going underground, at going undercover, at becoming somebody else? Jews or Jesuits? I have a source, 1886, recent events include to their solution. Before I can go there, oh my goodness, if I can remember the details of Adams, Jefferson, letter, Jesuits. By the way, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, after writing a letter complaining about the resurrection of the Jesuits on August, let's see here, August 14th. I want to say August 14th of. Interestingly enough, August 7th. I'm sorry, August 7th. I was off. I can always remember which day it was because it was the day that Carrie Banks Mullis, the guy that created the polymerase chain reaction, the PCR test that's used to show us both HIV/AIDS and the corona hoax, is the guy that who was, by the way, also a harsh critic of Anthony Fauci, and he died on August 7th, the anniversary of the resurrection of the Jesuits, 2019, and at 74 years of old, right before the pandemic hit. Very convenient that Carrie Mullis, the founder of the PCR.
And wasn't the idea of the PCR test like it's just the nature of it? It observes a sample on such a micro level that you can find traces of virtually anything in it. He actually said this is not something you should use for diagnosis at all.
Right. He
and
said
then, of course,
it makes me want to become a Buddhist because I can find anything in anything. His word, okay?
Yeah.
Makes me want to become Buddhist. Can find anything in anything. So by the way, John Adams and to Thomas Jefferson, vice versa, they were worried about the resurrection of the Jesuits. And let me see here, painters. You're right.
This is going to sound crazy. A little bit of a side note. I know Thomas Jefferson and John Adams had their issues with Alexander Hamilton. And one of the things that he did, or I think after his death, he created like this, it's an orphanage. I think it's still around today. His wife did. And then it got me thinking a little bit about the orphanages and these placements was he a Jesuit as well? Hamilton or the Hamilton family?
Yeah, he was huge. He was definitely an insurgent, which is weird because Aaron Burr, not necessarily a good guy either, is responsible for killing him in a duel. And he was huge for pushing a central bank, which is very, very big to the machine. I can't get the exact quote. I'll have to pull it up eventually, where these two guys, by the way, Adams and Jefferson, back and forth, both of them coincidentally died on 4th of July in, what was it? I don't know the exact year, 18, whatever it was. And they're back and forth telling each other how worried they are about a Jesuit insurgency, with the Jesuits being disguised as whatever, painters and what, I forget the precise act, but this goes to the concept of Jesuits being incognito insurgents. Okay, who is known throughout history? Nobody knows this. You have to dig, but if you dig, you find that Jesuits, it's in the 4th vow of extreme unction. It's in the blood oath that you take after you rise to a certain level in the order. That the nickname of the Jesuits is the company, which just so happens to be the same nickname for the CIA. That's a coincidence, mind you. Pause. Let me use that as a segue. Johnny, come on, Johnny, come back to Donald Barr and the CIA and the OSS. Thank you. You're all over the place, scatterbrained. So Donald Barr is and Johann Adam Weishaupt, by the way, the godfather of the Illuminati, born and raised, spent his entire time under Jesuit care, went on to be ordained himself. I've got sources on that. No, he left the Jesuits. No, he went on to be ordained and teach canon law at Jesuit Ingolstadt University in modern Munich. Oh, nobody's heard of this. So I'm finding this stuff and I'm saying, everybody's saying Illuminati and no one's saying Weishaupt, and nobody's saying Jesuits. And then I go and do a little digging and I'm seeing this stuff everywhere where I have to dig and lift up rocks. And that was the impetus from my first book, Illuminati Unmasked. And the good Lord smiled and said, you think you're going to be making money? You think you're going to be doing something you want? This is what you're doing from now on. And so that's what I've been doing ever since and not making any money on. But anyway, Donald Barr, OSS, and working for Bill Donovan. So as a quick aside on crypto Jew, so people, oh, the Jews took over the Catholic Church. Yeah. And nobody in the Catholic Church cared about it at all. They just sat back and smiled. Oh, okay. Oh, he looks look at his nose. He looks a little Jewish and he's making us do things that are really not right. Oh, he's fine. Leave him alone. Meanwhile, what makes more sense? What makes more sense? A Dominican secret police led by Tomas de Torquemada, okay, mass murdered 13,000 Morenos, if I'm saying that right. He had a special secret police to examine Jewish converts. And if they didn't pass muster, if they had any hint of maintaining Judaism on their own. And how did he find out? Because the Dominicans and then the Jesuits are experts on torture. Experts on torture. You want to, who's the Jews? Jews. Look up waterboarding. Look up the Inquisition, Jesuit Inquisition basis for waterboarding. Okay. And that includes the real Inquisition, not putting a towel over your face and leaving it there, putting a towel down your throat as the water goes down and yanking it out of your throat so it does all kinds of damage to you. Horrible, horrible torture. And they're the ones that stood over you with a clipboard. Jews? No, Jesuits.
Well, here, I want to ask you this because I think this is probably going to yield more interesting, commentary than I previously thought. But right now we're sitting, a lot of going-ons with the influencers on Twitter and Candace Owens, who recently I said, I put a tweet out. It got a lot of people upset. I said, I like Candace Owens. She seems fun. Now I have to unpack that a little bit because I have gotten to the point in doing this where I don't, ultimately, if I have faith, I'm not like afraid of anybody. So let's say like Alex Jones, for example, I do believe that he is, he's admitted that his own family is intelligence. But I find him to be like a fun guy. He's a fun, entertaining dude to watch. He does make me laugh. I don't absorb his content and I don't take him as an authority on anything. Having to deal with the idea that he's misleading people one way or another, that's a different story, but vengeance isn't for me, it's for the Lord. And so whatever he does in that regard, I have my own platform. I'm saying my thing, and he's going to have to answer to God for whatever he's doing. But all that aside, I find him kind of endearing. I don't like David Icke because mostly he cries and whines a lot and his face is off-putting to me. Candace also seems like kind of fun, but when you look at her, she's saying a lot of really fascinating things lately. I saw somebody complaining in her comment section saying, oh, Candace is now going to become successful on the back of things that we've been saying for a long time with zero recognition. And I'm just going, I don't know if that's the right way to look at things. I mean, I'm not doing this for recognition and for money. I'm glad that I'm able to do this to whatever degree that I am, but I'm not going to get upset because Candace Owens is now hijacking the narrative. I do find her suspicious, though. All those things aside, as much as I do enjoy her, I have to admit I don't watch her content at all, but she is Catholic and she is pivoted in such a way recently as to become one of the louder talking heads about Jews. And, we've come to this place on the show where we're like, yeah, there's an engineered thing going on. It's all funneling you towards the Jews. I don't know if this is a prophetic, the nation's turning on Israel sort of a deal, but given everything that you're saying here about Jesuits and her being this kind of, you might call her a representation of Catholicism, right? I mean, just in the sense that she is immensely popular and certainly her Catholicism plays some role in people's opinions. So if you, who knows, maybe she swung people towards the Catholic Church, in other words, and the more she says things that people determine are based or are interesting, the more people will come. And right now, like I said, it's overwhelming. You go through just a keyword search on her name on Twitter and everybody is upset because she's pointing out the Jews. What do you think about Candace Owens right now? And in conjunction with that, the flood of the popularity of conspiracy theories, because she seems to be playing in that realm in a really big way. And that's also suspicious to me.
Well, first, let me say that as I began to talk about Alex Jones and his mysterious past, I immediately pull back on rhetoric because I want you guys to stay open to that connection. Absolutely. If there's any kind of having them on the show, do it.
That would be a crazy ass move.
Listen, 100%. I'd have him on the show, and it would be hilarious. Because, like you said,
guys be you. You guys be you, and have him be him. And there's no reason why you shouldn't have that connection. You can't tell, by the way, do the same thing for David. You can't tell David, can I come on the show? I don't like your face. No, I don't like your face.
I think I'd have to. I've made fun of David Icke enough because he has this whole this thing that a lot of people don't seem to be aware of. But he had this is in his own memoirs or autobiography. But he had a stroke, I believe, or something that was kind of like a stroke, and he got this information download. And what he got it from was ascended Atlantean masters. And I think all he's dealing with, I don't think that he did not have an experience, and I don't think that he did not receive this information. I think he's being deceived fundamentally by deceptive spirits that are masquerading as, ascended Atlantean masters or whatever. And he's got such a thing about Christianity. My line is just like, if I make fun of you, I'm going to stick to my convictions and go, no, I'm not going to suddenly smile in your face because I've made
Shout
fun
out
of you.
Timothy Alberino.
Yeah, that's the only person where I made fun of him and then I had him on the show and I still made fun of him. And that really turned into a whole debacle. But so I wouldn't be the type of person who would say the things I've said about David Icke, which is like David Icke has presented fascinating information, a really fascinating body of work. And I'm sure that mixed within there's a tremendous amount of truth. None of us are getting it 100%
I mean, we just
correct.
reached out to, what's his name? Ryan Bledsoe.
To
have him on the show. I don't think he would come on, but I disagree vehemently with everything he's saying. I think it's...
Well, almost everything, right?
Almost everything.
The lady...
But I think he seems like a nice enough guy.
He does seem like a nice dude.
Yeah.
He does seem like a nice dude. So, yeah, there's people that I would have a conversation with. Just because I disagree with him doesn't mean I wouldn't talk to him. Some people, like David Icke...
He's not going to change my mind, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's not going to change my mind.
Yeah.
But I've made fun of him to the degree that it would be...
Hard.
A lack of conviction to have him on and smile in his face like
I was thrilled to have David Icke on, interview David. I gave him props for calling out the pandemic for what it was. I gave him props for having presaged 9/11. And then at the end, I had a friendly discourse with him on how he slanders Christianity as a meaningless pagan sun worship spinoff. Yeah. And nobody's changed on it, but at least I held my integrity. I didn't stop being me. Gave him props for what he should have props for. And I personally believe he's a Freemason. I can't prove it. There supposedly is photographs floating around out there of him in a Freemasonic temple in a chair, which he was supposedly just visiting and clowning around and took a picture. It doesn't matter. He certainly shows the evidence of it. But pause. Johnny, stop being paused. Johnny, go back to Candace Owens. Okay, so Candace Owens, with everything that she has done and said, should have been thoroughly discredited in relation to the just harebrained stuff with Brigitte Macron. What makes me very suspicious is she is a Roman Catholic convert with an elite, white, aristocratic, wealthy British husband. Okay, both of them, and there's questions. Oh my goodness, there's even questions about her husband possibly being bisexual and connected to Andrew Tate.
Oh, that's interesting.
And all the crazy. Oh my goodness, yeah. What's his name? Farmer. Yeah. Look at that up. The Farmer Tate connection. And
she
Andrew
just
Tate
came out the other day. This isn't to detract from the point, but I just for the audience sake. And she's going on this big tangent, and she's saying Trump has betrayed America, expects you to die for Israel, and she's telling people to defect. She's telling them to I forget what the terminology is. It escapes me at the moment, but to not go and fight in this war, and that's. If you're somebody who is against the war machine, who believes that we're going and fighting Israel's, battles for them or whatever, which maybe it is a surface level thing. Maybe there's something else if you remove those layers like you're highlighting here, Johnny, but you can see how that's appealing, right? like, especially for millennials, after going through everything that, we watched in our youth. We watched the war in the Middle East, the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, everything that came from 9/11, all the corruption and all these things. And I think we're very anti-war at this point, this generation in particular, millennials. And so watching Candace Owens now step up to the line and say, something that sounds pretty based, we're not going to die for Israel. It's making her very popular. And the more they throw crap at her, the more it's like the Streisand effect, right? So Candace Owens says, we're fighting a war on behalf of Israel. We shouldn't do this. The soldiers shouldn't partake, all this stuff, right? And a lot of people feel that way. If it is a deception, which I'm very open to, she's a very effective mouthpiece right now.
She should have no credibility whatsoever. But you're absolutely right. It's a tremendous hook because all war, I tell people very often, I'm unlike my beloved Adventist friends who are strict pacifists. They're against war for the sake of war. I'm all about war when it's a righteous war, when it's about real reset, of the common person warring to reset all the corruption. I'm all on it. But when it comes to any war that is created by a Luciferian elite for the purpose of killing you and enriching them, I'm against it. And unfortunately, that's pretty much all war. So by default, I am against war, but I'm not a pacifist. And it is absolutely good for you. It's a great point. But once again, I will make my previous point. If Israel was really behind the war in Iran, I'll tell you, people to this day, I don't even know. What is your possible objectives? What are your strategic objectives for going to war with Iran and supposedly killing Khomeini? Nobody knows. The only thing I'm coming up with right now is insane Jew baiting overreach. Any Israeli strategist would never join hands with America to attack Muslim Iran unless they wanted to put a huge target right on their back. They would much rather hunker down and say, "Oh wow, that America, Donald, we love you, but that's overreach. What are you attacking our friends in Iran for?" Is that not intuitive? Candace Owens, with her insane foolishness in relation to Brigitte Macron, who is supposedly Emmanuel's mother, father, husband, brother, whatever,
is supposed to be his elementary school teacher, I think. Right? Was that the?
It's a lot of fun.
Pause. That's the real story that is ignored. Where? What school? What kind of school was she his drama teacher at? Oh wait,
Catholic school,
Jesuit school. She was his drama teacher at his Jesuit school. Emmanuel Jupiter Macron said, when I am installed as whatever, premier, president, prime minister, whatever, I am going to govern like Jupiter. Oh, you out of your mind? Devout Roman Catholic, Jesuit trained. So this is the Jesuit blown cover as cover. You take the weakness, you go right for it, but right before you get to it, you distract to something else. Let's look at the marriage of Emmanuel Macron. And right before you get to the weirdness of how his wife she's years older than him, was his drama teacher in his Jesuit high school, left her husband and her kids to marry her student. And that's his wife to this day. Now, pause. If you are a Jesuit intelligence mind control expert, is that not the perfect kind of guy for you to manipulate? Someone with a really perverted mommy syndrome, and they're still together to this day. He's perfect for manipulation. And instead of honing in on that, Candace Owens hones in on the transgender thing, which, by the way, is archetypal Jesuit theater. You can look, and it's a thing. It absolutely is a thing. How do you prove it? You don't. You don't.
Yeah, it's kind of
look
a
at that
hard thing
Adam's
to prove.
apple. Look at those. Look at those shoulders. Look at you. You can't. It is just a bunch of mud that you throw on a wall for distraction. It's so very hard to prove. I only acknowledge it in certain instances. Like there may be some evidence about Michelle Obama. There may be some evidence about those two girls that are just tennis superstars. Being crossovers. Okay. But there's nothing you can really definitively prove. And so this is a constant thing in our arena.
Yeah. It's gotten to the point where it was especially over, I would say last year, it reached a peak of, I guess like conspiracy theorist awareness where it started getting flung around constantly. Like every single person it was called EGI, elite gender inversion.
Oh yeah, you got that.
They accuse me of it. I have a female skull, and it's just like it goes on and on and on. But you're right. It's not anything that you can prove, but it happens. I would imagine to some degree. Some people think that it's like upwards of 80% of the influential people, whether it's Hollywood or politics or anywhere in between, are gender inverted. And then there was this conversation in the files, whatever these files are that we're getting from the DOJ. Where I believe it was, it wasn't Lex Wexner that was talking about it, but it was somebody talking about Victoria's Secret and said that many of the models are actually men. So it just adds to that fire, but it's kind of a moot point because it is unprovable. And so, I actually want to rewind for a second though, because we were talking about what the benefits of going to war with Iran would be. What do you make of the clean break narrative? This idea about 7 countries or 7 Middle Eastern nations in 9 years. This was a claim that was made by General Wesley Clark, and those 7 countries being Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran, and that this is like basically an elimination of the surrounding Muslim nations, that surround Israel. And so this then becomes a place that can, I guess you might say, just be taken over by Jewish and American or Israeli and American forces.
I don't know anything about a Israeli American confab, but
wait, before you go any further, and I'm not saying that this says that this is true, Johnny, but what happens right after we attack Iran this year, not last year, this year, is that Benjamin Netanyahu, who is not who he is claiming to be, right? It seems like he's got relations with Javier Milei and all this other crap, that this is not whoever this guy is pretending to be. He's not really him. I don't know. I haven't looked into it very much.
He's from Poland.
Right. But he comes out the next day after we do this and tweets, possibly just to stoke the fire, right? What you're talking about here, obfuscation or reinforcing this Jew narrative could well be the case. But he's saying in a joint effort, the U.S. and Israel have, begun to attack Iran.
The entire media is fallen. They're full. So we have Hegseth, I believe, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Netanyahu. They're falling over themselves to reinforce that narrative.
Yeah.
That the United States is going to war for Israel.
And that's what he says. Benjamin Netanyahu says to defend Israel from its enemies.
Right.
So that's like that's the why.
We're dealing with two things here, Gio. It's like part of me, when we're talking to the normie, I'm kind of like, hey, I think you need to notice that, so that way we can step up this conspiracy ladder, or step down into this conspiracy. If they're not even noticing that, or unwilling to notice what is very obvious in front of them, you're never going to get to the Catholic Church, the Jesuits, the fallen angels.
It's very clever.
It's clever, but there are levels to hell that you kind of have to walk somebody down.
Hold on, wait. So, brothers and sisters, citizens of Israel, just an hour ago, Israel and the United States embarked on an operation to remove the existential threat posted by the terror. Existential threat. I want to think. Maybe this isn't the one, but I remember the way that it was worded was specifically the enemies of Israel. Maybe this is it. February. When did we attack? February 28th.
Yeah.
So maybe this was it. Maybe, I'm sorry. I might have misspoke. I don't want to put that out there if that's not the case. I thank our great friend, President Trump, and his historic leadership. For 47 years, the Ayatollah regime has chanted death to Israel, death to America. So, I mean, there's still a painting of, this allyship to remove the existential threat posed by the terrorist regime in Iran. My mistake. I attributed the existential threat specifically to Israel, but that's not how this is worded. So I want to take that back. I don't want to go ahead and say that. But yeah, so could well be exactly what you're saying, Johnny. It's just this bolstering of this layer of the illusion or layer of the deception, but he's coming out and he wants to paint it like this is a joint effort. We're doing this thing together. So and
no
that was
American strategist, no American strategist anywhere. Look at how Boner Bush 41. Yeah, Boner Bush 41 versus Skull and Bones Bush number 43, because nobody else was qualified to be American president than a secret society, Skull and Bones. By the way, the Skull and Bones, they kiss the slipper toe of the Pope. They have veneration of Loyola. And look at the difference between that and Desert Storm, how he had bent over backwards to have a coalition of Muslim nations. We're now at a point now where we just grab one nation and say, these guys, you really, really hate them, and we're going to war for them. We're doing this. No American strategist. What is there anyone anywhere? Hegseth. Holy Sepulchre Hegseth, right? He's Jewish, right? He's mind-controlled Jew. He's got a tattoo of the freaking secret society, the Catholics' Holy Sepulchre Secret Society, on his titty. Are you kidding me? The Secretary of War, right? Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's the Jews, Johnny. Who out there?
Wait. What's his name, real quick? Because I want to bring that up just to show
Hegseth,
people.
pull it up.
Hegseth. Yeah, I remember seeing this image and be like, what the hell?
Right. It's the secret. It's the Holy Sepulchre Secret Society of the Roman Catholic Church. Pull it up. Crazy.
It's a really aggressive. Okay, great. Yep, there he goes.
That's big.
It's super big.
Me? Oh, it's the Jews, Johnny. It's the Jews. No, that's real power. That's real. The Secretary of War. That's exactly who you want in that position. Can I go through the list of tens upon tens of Roman Catholics, Jesuit trained individuals who run the CIA? Pardon me, outside the CIA being founded by a Knight of Malta? How about the FBI being founded by a hyper-devout Roman Catholic, Charles Joseph Bonaparte, great-nephew of Napoleon Bonaparte? It's the Jews, Johnny. I can go through a whole list. Tens upon tens of Catholic, devout Catholic. Colby, we were talking about a little bit while ago, the warrior priest, Colby. I've got names. This is real power. The military, the CIA, the FBI versus what? Hollywood versus what? The New York Times? Are you kidding me? Where's the real power and where are the managers who are the puppets? Okay. Pause for just a second. We'll go back to the CIA in relation to Donald Barr. Now, look at the idea from my buddy, esoteric nomad Nathan, that Epstein himself is mind control, trauma-based mind control. How did Epstein get on the map? Who put him on the map? OSS, CIA, Roman Catholic Donald Barr was, when he got out of the OSS, he was headmaster at Dalton. Really? Yeah. And he was writing science fiction about sex trafficking and how fun it was. No joke. Look it up. Donald Barr. Okay. Donald Barr, his last thing that Donald Barr did was he took a guy who had failed college twice, a 2-time college dropout, and he brought him in to teach math at Dalton. Absolutely stood by it, but he left. He retired so quickly, he didn't even give a secret handshake to the guy he just hired. Donald Barr hired Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Barr installed Jeffrey Epstein at Dalton. And the New York Times said the kids knew right away he was a weirdo. The kids knew right away he was a weirdo. Or
knew that
Epstein.
Okay.
Epstein was odd. The kids knew right away that Epstein was odd. That's the New York Times saying that. Okay. What does odd mean? Does that mean that he was not right? Does that mean they jumbled up his brain from trauma-based mind control? Okay. And from there, he mysteriously, look it up. How did Epstein get his billions? Nobody knows. Oh, Wexner the Jew. Victoria's Wexner the Jew. Nobody knows. This was created long in advance to be a Jew-centered distraction. When Epstein was first arrested, they gave him what, 14 weeks of house arrest. Oh, by the way, real quick to go back, Galileo Galilei, when he was examined by the Inquisition, and the Inquisition said, no, you're not allowed to teach that. And he was like, dude, you told me to come teach that at your university. What are you doing? No, you're against the Bible. You're not doing that. You go on house arrest. House arrest? Okay. When the Inquisition really doesn't like you, what do? They rip your intestines out. They burn you alive. They pull your skin off. They pull your arms out of their sockets. But for Galileo Galilei, house arrest. You'll never do that again, right? Jeffrey Epstein, when he was arrested, house arrest. No TV on Wednesday nights. Just call in and we'll make sure you're okay. That's the first time. He was told there was a federal prosecutor with 5 federal counts. 5 federal counts. Alexander Acosta. And Hispanic Roman Catholic. I think he's Cuban, Puerto Rican Roman Catholic, the federal prosecutor. And the CIA came to Acosta and said, he's good. Leave him alone. He works for us. That's not my words. That's Alexander Acosta's word. Oh, and by the way, who was the attorney general at this time in Florida? Oh, wait. Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was the attorney general at this time during Epstein's trials in Florida. House arrest. The second time he was arrested, and he committed suicide twice. He fell on a knife 14 times. So, by the way, the anomalies with Epstein's suicide, the fact that he was in a federal facility, he was on suicide watch. You can't get levels of security higher than that. A federal facility on suicide watch had already attempted to kill himself and did so a second time. And when he did a second time, the cameras went out. I hate when that happens. Are you kidding me? How stupid am I? Here is the Osama bin Laden of child trafficking, right? The Osama bin Laden. By the way, it's a whole nother show. Tim Osman, Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, but they did the same thing, right? Where it's like, for whatever reason, we have no footage of what happened there. It's the same thing they did with
at sea.
Yeah, which is insane because we hung Saddam Hussein on like network television. I saw Saddam Hussein. I'm pretty sure I saw as a child Saddam Hussein being hung, and then when it came to I saw that.
You saw his body double.
Right. And then when it comes to Osama bin Laden, we get a screwed up Photoshop image that goes, viral for lack of a better term. I believe it's on the cover of whatever, the New York Times or some shit, or the New York Post. And it's literally like the lower half of somebody's face and the upper half of Osama's face and the upper half of just some random dead dude's face. And then they told us that we couldn't see the body. We couldn't see anything. He got a burial at sea because, no, wait. Am I conflating something here?
No. You're spot on. So Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the CIA waterboarded him 183 times to get every scrap of information. But Osama bin Laden, the SEAL Team 6, oh my goodness, if there's anybody that Eric Prince, the godfather of war profiteering. Eric Prince, he's Jewish, right? No, he's a hyper-devout Catholic convert. The godfather of war profiteering, another Navy SEAL. How many Navy SEALs have left the Navy SEALs and have gone into successful whatever, podcasting and security and TV shows and the Navy SEALs, they're all compromised. They're all.
By the way, didn't all those dudes die in a helicopter crash? And I swear they did it twice. Like there was 2 times when those people died in a helicopter crash. Yeah, like that was actually a genuine Mandela effect for me, where when the news happened, I was like, that already happened. They already died in a helicopter crash or something like that. Right.
And who knows if that was cover or not. I think it's the name of the helicopter was CH-47, Extortion 17. And who knows if that was legit. And they told the SEALs that your mission is shoot them on sight and dump them in the ocean.
Yeah.
What? The guy that is the very reason for the global war on terror. Shoot him on sight, dump him in the ocean. You don't need to see him. Hey, listen, we want to be respectful to Islam. What?
That was it, yeah.
KSM, you waterboard him 183 times to get every scrap of it. Oh, wait. When's his daughter's birthday? Hit him for that. Okay. Are you kidding me? So clearly, wait a minute. Is it possible that your government lies to you? Is it possible? Okay. Makes no sense whatsoever. Donald Barr installs Jeffrey Epstein. He mysteriously skyrockets in money and power. And then his suicide in prison, and nobody knows what happened. So I will tell you, from a military perspective, heads would roll. The fact that you have that level of security, the fact that he supposedly tried to kill himself once, and you made no changes to make sure that never happens again, and he did it a second time successfully, and the cameras are gone, and you have no idea, and no heads rolled. What changes occurred? One change occurred. The Secretary of Bureau of Prisons was pulled out and replaced with a Roman Catholic female, Kathleen Hawke Sawyer. Who did that? The Attorney General did that. Who is the Attorney General? Bill Barr, the son of Donald Barr, a Roman Catholic lawyer, insider. Oh, are you kidding me? Donald Barr, the Catholic who worked for Bill Donovan from the OSS, installed Epstein at the beginning, and Bill Barr, his son, was Donald Trump's top cop, top lawyer, attorney general, overseeing Epstein's suicide.
Yeah.
And nothing happened as a result. No heads fell. Go figure. Oh, it's the Jews, Johnny. Clue.
What do you
It's
make?
odd that they didn't even fire the jailers. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there was
rebel,
the one guy
head
that said that he
roll.
was on the staff that night. It was like a leak on 4chan or some shit like that. And then later on, it's supposedly confirmed that guy, he says they came in an unmarked van. They didn't sign the paperwork that you're supposed to sign when you drop off and pick up at the prison. And he says he's pretty sure that they took him from the cell. I mean, who knows? I was looking at the Epstein files through the lens of good storytelling, and I said, we're not going to get those files until it's a plot device, until they're ready for the next part of the theater that they're going to roll out. I wonder what you make now of like the Clintons being in deposition, and the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh gets brought up, Frazzle Drip gets brought up. Everybody looks at Bill Clinton like he's an obvious, POS, because he's like gazing longingly, going down memory lane at some of the photos that are presented as evidence, I guess, of his comings and goings on Epstein's Island. And I'm not saying that that's not genuine. The whole thing just feels so strange to me. That's kind of a twofold question. What do you make of the deposition with the Clintons? And then I'd like to talk to you a little bit, if we have time, about what role Q plays in this. This, like, in my estimation, is a psychological operation, kind of meant to lull people into a false sense of security about the things they're going to see as this theater plays out, and they get to have their heroes and villains and all that other stuff. But first, let's talk a little bit about this deposition. What do you think about that?
I think it's so perfect. I think that if you are thirsting for justice, you need to hammer the guy who was president from 30 effing years ago, who's now 79 years old. Bill is 79. Hillary is 78. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? They're expendables, and I fully expect nothing's going to happen to them anyway. They're just going to get a little bit of a black eye in the media. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They are expendable. They're nobodies now. They have used all of their utility to the machine. Throw them out. Kick them out to the curb. Throw them out so that the breadcrumbs go after Bill, go after Hillary. Yeah, certainly two of them is Hillary, especially one of the most evil people in the world. That I fully expect that they'll go to their graves never having seen any kind of earthly justice. But even so, you can give them a little bit of a black eye. I'm the biggest one. I'm surprised. Look, how is it that the only one to ever partake of the teen girls, not 8, 9-year-old little boys being brutally sodomized, that doesn't sell? Teen girls, that sells. That's okay. Who partook of the teen girls? Prince Andrew. Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew Mountbatten. He's not Prince anymore. He's deprinced. He's deprinced. He's the only one.
Yeah.
He's the only one. He's been deprinced. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? For the longest time, I couldn't figure out Why is he okay to go after? Well, it turns out he's an idiot. They all hate him. All of the Luciferian elite insiders, they consider him he was too extravagant. He was a liability. Okay, look, don't jam it in their face. You have to be quiet about eating babies and raping little boys. Come on, man. You don't go around like they owe it to you. And so that's the only thing I can figure out. But nobody else partook. Not even the sitting president, the guy who's sitting, pause, in the house, in the White House, named for its color, named after the Jesuit in Maryland, the colony for Catholics by Catholics. The Jesuit Father Andrew White, S.J., is the namesake of the White House. The architecture is a mirror image of the architecture, the pagan Luciferian sex magic of the Vatican, of Rome, of a phallus of Osiris, the cut off ding ding PP of Osiris, stolen from Heliopolis, the city of the sun in Egypt, and put in St. Peter's Square in the middle of a sun worship 8-spoked British flag. Across from the womb of Isis, the dome of the St. Peter's Rotunda, just like it is off the Potomac. As a matter of fact, people used to call Washington, D.C. Little Rome on the Potomac because it was a pornographic exaggeration of St. Peter's with a big phallus that is literally 6,666 inches tall across from the womb of Isis, the Capitol Rotunda. Capitol, what is a Capitol? It's in honor of Capitoline Hill, one of the 7 heads, one of the 7 hills of Rome. It's the Jews, Johnny. It's the Jews. Okay? I just went on a crazy rant and I lost my way.
I don't know. That was pretty fair, though.
We were talking about the connectivity of all these people.
Well, we were saying, the deposition.
Yes, I got it. And let me tell you, by the way, your question in relation to Epstein, I fully expect that he's over there sipping my ties on Rape Island. I to this day, I don't. He was theirs. The machine has a balance. The machine is fickle. The machine will do you dirty in a heartbeat. They will kill you just because it's fun. And they also will protect you because if word gets out that you owe to the machine and they do you dirty anyway, then you're probably not going to stay loyal to the machine. So they can't do it too often. I fully expect that Jeff is sipping Mai Tais on Rape Island next to Ghislaine. To this day, I'm waiting for Ghislaine's perp walk and her. And no, all we have is these pastel paintings of her in court with an art. Stop. Are you kidding me? Well, Johnny, come on. We don't want to invade the sanctity of the courtroom with cameras, unless, of course,
that's the most insane, antiquated, practice ever. Is that we're drawing people in the courtroom still? Why is that still happening? Why aren't we
cover up and corruption easy?
That's the only reason, right?
Corruption easy, absolutely. Unless, of course, it's someone like Jeanine Pirro, who is a Lebanese Jew, Catholic, and she has her own TV show of Judge Jeanine. And Jews and Jesuits, Judge Judy, Judge Jeanine. Pick one. We can all have a good time laughing at the farce that is the justice system.
Right.
And she was just recently installed as, I don't know, some kind of Donald Trump. The number of Catholics that have been installed by, Donald Trump, he's owned by the Jews. Jeanine Pirro is now like the highest federal authority in Washington, D.C. And she's bitch slapping conservators that love Guy Fawkes News. How many blonde Catholics are on Guy Fawkes News? Endless numbers of blonde Catholics on Guy Fawkes News, right? She was over there. They loved her. Now she's the top federal authority, legal authority in Washington, D.C., and she's telling the magatards and conservators, you even think the word gun, and you're mine. You and your gun are mine. No one should even be thinking the word gun in Washington, D.C. Wait a minute. Where's Jeanine? Where's Judge Jeanine? You used to be the rah conservatard on Guy Fawkes News. No. How easily it comes out. How easily it comes to the surface. She's Jewish, right? No, I think it's Lebanese Maronite Catholic, something like that. Very devout.
You don't think that we're going to see like some, because I understand the idea of like, we're not going to see justice and we're not going to see these people. Maybe the Clintons will get a black eye, like you've said.
I never got a chance to answer you, Wesley Clark. Wesley Clark, he's Jewish, right? He's Catholic now. Wesley Clark. Oh, by the way, he made his prediction when? After he retired. I think there's something to it, but I don't know that it's some kind of Pike Mazzini letter. Giuseppe Mazzini, Jesuit, Jesuit Mazzini. Everybody's heard of Albert Pike. Nobody's heard of Mazzini. Oh, the letters. It's true. It's true. It's going to be 3 world wars and wrapped around Israel, creation of Israel. Who created Israel? What is Israel was created from the beginning. The same way that Epstein was created as a distraction. Israel was created as a distraction. April 19th, 1799, somewhere thereabouts. A guy by the name of Napoleon Bonaparte has a declaration ready to go. I'm creating Israel. Napoleon Bonaparte, he's Jewish, right? No, he's Italian, almost certainly Jesuit trained, Catholic, Freemason. Okay, he's ready to go. All he's got to do is defeat the Ottomans at Accra, and he couldn't pull it off. Otherwise, Israel would have been started not in 1947, in 1799 on April 19th. April 19th, the list of dates of April 19th, the most important of which that nobody's heard of, April 19th, 1541, the day that Ignacio Lopez becomes the very first superior general of the Jesuits. No one's heard of that April 19th. You've heard of other April 19th of, oh my goodness, I have a whole list of April 19th. Now, I think BP oil, I think that was April 20th. Adolf Hitler's birth is April 20th, thereabouts. But yeah, I have a huge list.
That's just crazy, dude. I didn't realize that Napoleon tried to do. So we're just on this weird timeline. What do you
like? It was gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, but it always seemed like it was always going to be artificial. Where do you put that in the timeline of biblical prophecy? Like, is this biblical prophecy because this happened in 1947, or if it would have happened in 1799, or like
absolutely, and no, doesn't exist in biblical. There are no Jews in biblical prophecy. None, zero. There is. Go read Romans 9, 10, 11. Go read Galatians 3 and 4, especially Galatians 3 and 4. There are Jews of the flesh and Jews of the spirit. Israel of the flesh and Israel of the spirit. And the Israel of the spirit is anyone who is born again. There are zero promises. Anyone that says, bless you, anyone that says that we need to have a third temple, we need to Christians, you Christians.
Oh,
we
yeah,
need to get behind a third temple. You're blaspheming the cross. Anyone that says that there are promises to a bloodline is blaspheming the cross of Christ. There are zero promises to any bloodline. As a matter of fact, one of my all-time favorite passages is Jeremiah 31, particularly Jeremiah 31:31. But and Yahweh puts to death, probably Jesus himself, puts nails it to a cross, says, listen to me. I'm going to make a covenant in the future, not like the covenant that you broke through Moses. I made a covenant with you through Moses that you broke. You couldn't keep it in the first place. In the future, I'm going to make a brand new covenant you have no idea has ever seen. You're not going to see it coming. I'm going to take my law. I'm not going to write it on tablets of stone. I'm going to write it in your heart. You have been saying the fathers eat sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge, implying generational curses for sin. You will never say that again. Every man will be responsible for his own wickedness and his own sin. Salvation is individually based. There is no such thing. The Baptists told the Jewish leadership, you brood of vipers, who told you judgment is at hand? Who told you? And don't you dare say that Abraham is your father and that's your salvation, because Yahweh gives me a chill even mimicking this. Yahweh can take one of these very stones and make them a child of Abraham. Repent for your own personal sin. And that is the miracle of salvation. It is individually based. Any Christian that says there are promises to a bloodline is ignorant and a blasphemer. There are no promises outside of the cross. Christ is the promise, as Paul says, not seeds. He is the seed of Abraham. He is the fulfillment of the promise in the seed one, says Paul, Abraham. There is no such thing as a fleshly, physical nation of Israel. There is a single spiritual, eternal nation of Israel. Period.
What do you make then of all the prophecies? I'm looking at I have a couple pulled up, but like all of the prophets that are talking about the people of Israel gathering back in, because this is an argument that's consistently thrown at me, because I don't necessarily know where to place it either. It feels like a falsehood what's happening here, and we're being led by the nose.
You're saying the current nation of Israel.
I don't know. Yeah, there's just there are scriptures like, what is this? Does this mean that they've already came back, or is that allegory?
There is a duality of scripture very, very often. There is a duality of scripture. There was a regathering. There was a moment where Israel was broken in half with a civil war, Israel and Judah. The northern nation of Israel was dissolved by Assyria. There's no such thing as 10 tribes. They're gone. They're intermarried and intermingled, gone, erased. Those that loved the Lord congregated towards Jerusalem and the temple. They still dropped the ball. They were conquered by Babylon and carted off and held by prediction in Jeremiah for 70 years. Daniel was praying. Daniel did the math. Daniel couldn't believe the time is up. The time is up. I've got to fast. We should be heading back to our homes, and we don't deserve it. We don't deserve it. And Daniel got on his knees. That's why Daniel is so important, and why modern Judaism struck him from the role of the prophets, because they hate him. Because Daniel is absolutely, Daniel and Revelation, two prophets called beloved, Daniel and John. Why? Because number one, they gave you the identity of the Christ, Jesus of Nazareth. Number two, they gave you the identity of the Antichrist, Rome. John and Daniel, they go hand in hand. There was a regathering. There was a modest physical regathering in Israel. There is a much bigger spiritual gathering of anyone who loves Christ around the world. There is a duality of scripture. Do you have any specific verses that you're thinking of?
The one that stands out to me the most would be Amos 9:14 or 15. I'll pull it up here so we could see it. But it's just because, again, it's like what it says. I'm not trying to like debunk or anything. I'm just trying to really figure it out. But here, and I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith the Lord thy God. Where he's talking about the people, like the captive people of Egypt. So it's like that's some of them, but like there are other prophecies from the like different prophets. Let me see if I can find some more. You know, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, they talk about the gathering and the regathering and the putting in this placement. And it's like, yeah, all right, if that is to come to pass, like, can that come to pass artificially? Or is God going to do that? Or does it matter? Because it seemed like Napoleon was trying to do that too. And it seems like they're trying to artificially create prophecy. And does that work? I don't know. Or what are we even looking at here?
And is it actually like the synagogue of Satan? You know, right?
Yeah, very confusing.
There absolutely is. I'm gonna just pull up Ezekiel here. Ezekiel is what number? Ezekiel is number
36, probably.
Is the 26th book of the Protestant. Here's what's absolutely amazing: is Ezekiel's temple in chapter 40 is very deceptive. It is very deceptive because it lists extremely precise dimensions that have never been fulfilled. Extremely precise dimensions that have never been fulfilled. How do you reconcile that? Ezekiel has predicted a temple that didn't exist there, doesn't exist now. Is there going to be a third temple? A third temple would blaspheme Jesus and, in fact, make Jesus a liar. A third temple would make Jesus a liar because he cursed the temple and said, you prefer the inadequate. Paul clearly states the blood of animals does not save. You prefer the inadequate facsimile of me. I'm the real thing. You will never have it. One stone will not be left on another. Is Jesus a liar? Galatians 2:18. If I tear down, let me get the exact words. If I build again the things I've destroyed, I make myself a transgressor, a sinner. There will never be a third temple. So why is Ezekiel so precise on a temple that never occurred? There's a spiritual duality there. The only way you could possibly interpret that is that each dimension has a spiritual connotation and a spiritual meaning. If I can give you some specific example.
or they could just build this temple and it's a complete blasphemy. That could also be it as well, which I'd agree if it does get built, that's what it is, because yes, Jesus already is that temple that he prophesied. So doing that is just a bigger spit in the face.
And they were going to do that, right? Because there's this accelerationist aspect where they keep trying to do this fulfillment of prophecy or push things along or things of that nature. And so, which is, and the way that I look at it, it just seems wrong. It seems inherently wrong to try to force God's hand to force, the second coming.
And the more we look at biblical prophecy, the more it just looks like man-made forcing things.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they're going to force it. God has written about it previously.
Mhm.
And it's this vicious cycle that we're going to do anyway.
It's like, watch, these dummies are going to do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it seems like.
Right. This reminds me of 2 Thessalonians 2, of the son of perdition sitting in the Holy of Holies and blaspheming. Wait, hang on. Wait a minute. That's a blasphemy itself. There's no place to sit in the Holy of Holies. You're not allowed to sit in the Holy of Holies. The high priest was not allowed to sit in the presence of God. So what are you talking about? You are talking, what is the temple? Paul tells you what the temple is. You. Jesus Christ is Jacob's ladder. He allows you communion with Almighty God by his blood. You stand before Almighty God. You could never do that on your own. So what is the son of perdition blaspheming? Where is he sitting? He's seeking to take over Christianity and blaspheme it as the vicar of Christ. Oh, did he say that? The vicar of Christ, the 666. It's exactly what the Pope claims to be. Ex cathedra, whenever the Pope speaks ex cathedra, he writes in plural capital pronouns. We have decided this. Our judgment is this. He is truly the little horn that blasphemes. He is truly the little horn that changes names, places, and dates, that changes times. Daniel 7:25. The calendar that we have is such a ridiculous calendar. 365 and a quarter days, and we don't know we're going, we're coming. Who created the Jews? Created the calendar? Who created the calendar? The Jesuits did. It's the Gregorian calendar. Did Pope Gregory create the calendar? No. A Jesuit named Christopher Columbus. Why is it that Easter floats every year? Because the Jesuits didn't want you ever understanding that Jesus of Nazareth fulfilled the Passover to the day, to the letter, to the minute, to the jot and tittle. They didn't want you understanding that. And so they could go and look up in some of the better calendars. There are Indian calendars that are better than the ridiculous mess that we have.
Yeah.
Based on a tortoise shell. There are brilliant Indian calendars based on a tortoise shell of like 13 squares and 25 to 30, whatever. Are you kidding me? And we pushed that aside for 365 and a quarter and a leap year and 28 here and 31 there. And I can go in and come in. They literally have changed dates and times, just as Daniel predicted in 725. And the little horn, how much does the little horn perfectly predict what are popes? Popes are wannabe kings. That's why they changed their names, just like the inbred kings did. Who we have now? We have the Leo number 54, and what? That's not his name. Is Prevost? His name is Prevost. He changed his name for, because they're tapping in to the divine right. They have the divine right to rule over you. And oh, by the way, according to which papal bull? According to Unum Sanctum. According to Unum Sanctum, written in how long ago? 13. Let's see here. When was Unum Sanctum issued? According to Unum Sanctum, issued in 1302 by Boniface, every one of you belongs to the Catholic Church, whether you're Catholic or not.
I've heard that, yeah.
Every human soul belongs to the Catholic Church, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. Read Unum Sanctum for yourself. In the same way that the British Empire belongs to the Catholic Church from 1213. John, what is his nickname? Not Longshanks. Lackland. John Lackland. So Henry, his father, Henry II, had this problem. Investiture. And guys, I can keep going. You tell me when you have to cut it off.
No, I mean, after I was going to bring it in for a landing after this thought because we're getting a little bit long. We have another episode coming up soon, but please finish your thought.
Yeah. So real quick, the British Empire is owned by the Catholic Church since 1213, and nobody knows this. John Lackland, the son of Henry II, the brother of Richard the Lionheart, right? Henry II had this investiture issue. Kings and queens, Catholic kings and queens, they want to pick whoever's cardinals and bishops for their, especially in England, because England has this ultimate cleric, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and he's like the mini pope of England. And so it's critical for the British monarch to pick their own. But instead, they are loyal. They are loyal to Rome. They are loyal to the papacy. And it's an insurgency. It's an absolute insurgency. And Henry II was thrilled that Thomas Becket was going to be named the Archbishop of Canterbury because Thomas Becket was a rare, homebred, homegrown Briton that Henry II is like, oh, finally, not a Polish guy, not an Argentinian, finally a homegrown Briton. And as soon as he became Archbishop of Canterbury, he flipped the switch and he was 100% for the Pope. And to hell with you, Henry II. And it drove Henry insane. And Henry supposedly muttered under his breath, who is going to help me get rid of this petulant priest? And some knights took it upon themselves to give a propaganda coup to the papacy and kill poor Thomas Becket on the altar as he was crying out to the Mother Mary, please don't kill me. No, death to the traitor, death. And gave a propaganda coup to Rome. And Henry had to go back crawling on his hands and knees. Please don't excommunicate me. Why? He didn't give a crap about excommunication. He cared about the moment being excommunicated, the Pope would then release all of his Catholic subjects from loyalty to him. And so the little Hispanic lady that cleans her toilets and the little Irish lady that wipes her butt and makes her food like Typhoid Mary, by the way, real thing and buried with honors at the Jesuit Fordham Cemetery, they suddenly become assassins. You have an army of assassins waiting to do you dirty. It's not experts, just an army of amateur assassins. So you did not. This is why the Chinese Communist government pays $2 billion a year in Peter's pence to the Vatican. No, that's not me. That's Gao Wengui, the real estate mogul who is good friends with Mr. Kevin Bannon, who I believe is Q. Right?
Oh, yeah, Bannon, yeah. So Peter's pence, okay? So Henry II hands it over investiture. His son, John Lackland, took over for him and had the same problem of investiture and had this battle. I want to pick mine. No, says the Pope. Innocent number 3, the same guy that started Crusades. What were the Crusades? Christians going into the Holy Land and killing Muslims and Jews? No, Catholics murdering Christians in Europe. You ever heard of that? Innocent III did it. Innocent III sent Roman knights to murder women and children, Christian women and children, Bible-believing Christian women like the Albigenses and Waldenses. This is the same Innocent III, okay? 1213. So John was like, I need the Pope. I'm screwed. I need the Pope. France is going to invade. I need the Pope. I will go on my, just like Daddy did, I will crawl on my hands and knees, whatever they said. And Innocent number 3, De Conti, said, you're not coming here. I'm not soiling my hands on you. You will give your crown, King Edward's jewels, to my legate Pandolfo. You will give your crown to my legate, and he will loan it back to you from me. No, it's not me. Look it up. 1213. John, King of England, gives England to the papacy symbolically by giving Edward's crown. Pandolfo took it. And by the way, if you try to look up a depiction of this, it's all Alamy and Getty and it's a drawing. It's a drawing from years ago. Are you kidding me? You've copyrighted this? Are you kidding me? It's because they're gatekeepers for Rome. Gave the crown back, and 9 months later, you've ever heard of this? 9 months later, the lords and elite forced John, no more we can have a rule of your whims. We want a rule of law, the Magna Carta. Has anyone ever told you that the Magna Carta was created because John gave England to the Pope? No.
Crazy.
No, I didn't. No. I've never heard that, but that's, no. I mean,
absolutely true.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about like the John Wick movies. I'm like, damn, these guys like nailed it.
Yeah,
in a way, right?
Where everybody gets activated, even the, what did you say? The ass washer.
It's
yes.
not so. Yes. It's a not so.
Yeah,
clever.
Right on the Matrix. Right on the Matrix.
Yeah.
Popped up. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is the power of the Catholic Church. Whereas not every spy is a Catholic, but every Catholic can be a spy. Every Catholic can be activated because they fear for their own soul. And by the way, this is why I'm a huge advocate for real decentralized Christianity. You, the Bible, Jesus. You, the Bible, Jesus. As soon as you insinuate a human being in between you and salvation, you've lost. You're a slave.
That seems to be the most obvious hole in Catholicism's game for me, and it doesn't seem to be one that Catholics are willing to.
He must have freaked out when Nick Fuentes said that.
That people shouldn't be reading their Bible.
No salvation. Little Nicky Fuentes. Who the heck is he? He's a nobody. He's a homosexual Catholic that came up out of nowhere in the same way that Candace Owens popped up. What is he taking pictures of Kenny West in his sleeping for? Are you kidding me?
He was a cat boy, wasn't he? He was a cat boy not long ago.
Right. I don't think you can be New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand. You had a date with Catboy. Yeah, are you kidding me?
You can't be un-catboyed. I think once you go that way, Johnny, we got to bring it in for a landing because we have another show to do. But I'd love to have you on sometime to talk about, and we'll touch base after this sometime. We're seeing a resurgence in like the Templars were based, and that's
alarming.
It's alarming because I get it. It's like it's a cool thing because it's a reaction to the current cultural climate we're in, and you see sin and you see monstrosities and you want to combat it, and you have this iconography of the Templars and the cool outfits and such, and you have this really kind of reductive version of what that was all about. I'd love to unpack some of that in the future, and I'd like to have you.
Prophecy, right? Who do you think is going to be cutting the Christians' heads off?
Right.
Yeah.
The same people that have throughout history. More Christians have lost their heads to the Catholic Church than ever any Muslim. Ever. Just read Fox's Book of Martyrs. Read Fox's Book of Martyrs. More Christians have been beheaded by the Catholic Church than by any group of Muslims. Let me tell you, let me feed you. Let me do a teaser for coming back and talking about this, how the Templars are the seers. Let's go. They are knights. They are drones. They are soldiers. They are feudalist gatekeepers, Praetorian guards for the Catholic Church. Just ask, what's his name? Let's see here. Thomas. Let's see here. Stephen Christopher Yaxley Lennon. Oh, I'm sorry. Tommy Robinson. You know him better as Tommy Robinson.
What?
Yes, his real name is Stephen Christopher Yaxley Lennon. The savior. If you are inundated in England, if you are sick to death of Asian rape gangs, that your traitorous government is letting Muslims, wave after wave after wave of Muslim come in and rape your little girl, and you've had it, you go to Stephen Christopher Yaxley Lennon to be your voice, aka rebranded Tommy Robinson. And what does he do? He comes out of prison. Of course, he needed to get some people were saying, come on, you're a joke. And then they put him in prison. Oh, you did that to Tommy. We love Tommy. Tommy, please come out. He comes out of prison wearing a rosary beads. Are you kidding me? So what do they tell the English? They tell the English, if you want to strike at these Muslim hordes, you need to make yourself a Templar from the days of old, which is what we really are. It's a setup.
Yeah, man. That's where everything's going. That's where everything's going. I see it a lot. I see it a lot of memes, especially that memes was kind of how we got there. Like tolerance is not a Christian virtue, right? And it's like the Templar standing there and everything. Like I get it. I understand the appeal. It stands starkly in the face of all the things that everybody's too afraid to address. If you're too afraid to address. They frustrate you, David Lee. They frustrate you. You, and then they give you the solution. They cause the pressure, and then they give you exactly
every time.
Before we get out of here, Johnny, let's remind everybody where they can find your work, where they can find your books.
Fortunately, nobody's heard of me, so my books are still on Leviathan, aka CI Amazon. Illuminati of Mass, Secret History, Eaters of Children, Romans of Mass Destruction, and Disciples of Ra, which is on medicine and pandemics. All available on CI Amazon, aka Leviathan. Oh my goodness, we can do a whole show on Jeff Bezos and his weird upbringing of being adopted, Cuban Catholic adoption and all that. Just another front, just another CIA front, just like Elon Musk. You can find me at JohnnyCirucci.com, JohnnyCirucci.com. I actually have an email that I get spammed all the time and punked all the time, Johnny@JohnnyCirucci.com. I will answer you. And I do a regular show that's available on Rumble, but you're not going to find it. Resistance Rising, because somebody else, they've done an algorithm stealer. Resistance Rising. So just find Johnny Cirucci, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Brighteon, and that's it. And now, because my brothers that I love dearly have convinced me, dude, you've been away from YouTube gobbled up by Google. Google changed its birthday to coincide with September 27th. That's the birthday of Jerusalem. That's the birthday of Jewsreel. No, it's the birthday of the Jesuits. Look it up. YouTube, Google, the most powerful information aggregator in the world, changed its birthday in 2006 to coincide with the birthday of the Jesuits. Oh, it's the Jews, Johnny. It's the Jews. So yeah, good point. I'm gonna look into going giving myself a presence back on YouTube and see if it works. Love you guys.
More people should see you.
That's what I'm saying. No,
God.
I agree. I think more people should get the information, and if they're gonna lower the censorship thing for now to do whatever, then take advantage of it until you get inevitably banned. But thank you, Johnny. This has been an awesome conversation. It was good talking to you again, man.
Yeah, it's been.
Love you guys. You say the word, and I'll be back like that. You say the word.
I want to do this Templar thing. Because that to me is something that's important. Because I could see that it's entering, this kind of cultural zeitgeist, and people are getting all twisted.
Yeah.
And me myself, I don't really understand the history of the Templars. I learned through conversation. So I'd love to have you back to talk about that.
Done. You name it, we'll do it. It's a setup. It's divine setup, not divine, demonic setup. Where we just talked about it. They frustrate you. They frustrate you. I just talked about this recently in Vietnam. They frustrate you. They set you up a no-win scenario, and then they say, "You want to win?
Yeah.
Break the rules.
Yep.
Kill women and children. Do a Phoenix Project ruled by devout Roman Catholics like Bill Colby and John DeCamp, and go slaughter men, women, and children. Oh, we got to do it. We got to win any way that we can. Wait a minute. Why are we here again? Because we want you here. We're in a no-win situation. The Muslims, the immigrants, the Catholics, the Hispanics, no-win situation. Donald Trump's going to win for you. The Templars are going to win for you. It's divine setup. Happy to do it, man. You guys name it. Send me your calendar.
Giovanni, you're right about that, man. And it's something that I struggle with because we get caught up in that all the time. And it's just
and the emotional manipulation they're really great at it.
Or it's like
really great
realistically, what it always comes down to is like I think South Park nailed it. What you can vote for a turd sandwich or a
douche, a giant
douche.
Yeah,
and you're like, shit, I'm getting one of these.
No one sits back and say, wait a minute, I've got two choices every time.
Every time. It's a false binary.
I'm aware of it.
And oh, by the way, the guys on the left are rabid hardcore left, and the guys on the right never deliver. The guys on the right are phony on the right, and they never deliver, and the guys on the left get everything they want.
Oh, the guys on the left, they'll deliver. Yeah, they'll sever penises off.
I was just asking for the boot off my neck just a little bit more.
Sorry, can't do it.
And yeah,
right.
It never ends up.
We hate to interrupt this commercial, but we interrupt for this commercial message for the World Trade Center going down. The guys on the phony right, Bush. We interrupt for this commercial message of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Guys on the right. So you have this hardcore left pull from the left, and when we're speaking ill of the left, because the solution to the left is what leftist values are. If it feels good, do it. If you have responsibility, kick it away.
Yeah,
that's the left. That's the left. Whereas the right is, wait a minute, outside of me, I have a higher calling, a higher responsibility. I need to beat down my own desires. I have to live for my kids, live for my wife, live for my faith, live for my God.
Have that.
That's what the essence of the right is supposed to be. And so there's phonies on the right. And as the phonies on the right are proven not to be delivering anything, oh, boom, we have this massive, insane false flag that also interrupts that would never be able to pull off from the left. So there's the paradigm right there.
That's the game plan. Damn.
That's it.
But, all right, listen, we got to bring this in. We have a show in like 10 minutes. But Johnny, again, thank you for having us. And thanks for coming back.
No.
Always a pleasure, brother.
Guys, until next time, don't forget to obey, submit, and comply. We'll see you later.